Welcome back to Love Unfiltered. Today, we are having an honest and necessary conversation about the intersection of mental health and sexual wellness, and why these two areas of our lives are deeply connected, even when society teaches us to treat them as separate. Mental health shapes how we experience intimacy, desire, body confidence, boundaries, communication, and pleasure. Anxiety, depression, trauma, stress, and self-esteem all play a role in how we show up sexually, both with partners and with ourselves. Now, did you know that studies show about 1 in 4 adults experience anxiety or depression that impacts sexual desire or intimacy at some point? Or that chronic stress can suppress hormones like testosterone and estrogen, which influence libido? These aren't just numbers. They reflect real experiences that affect relationships and self-perception. Now, take a moment and think, how might my mental health have influenced my recent experiences with intimacy? Notice patterns without judgment. This is about awareness, not blame. Now, in this episode, we'll dive into how mental health affects sexual desire and intimacy, the emotional side of sexual wellness, how anxiety, depression, and trauma can show up in sexual relationships, why communication is essential for healthy sexual connection, and finally, how to prioritize both mental health and sexual well-being without shame. This episode isn't about perfection. It's about understanding, compassion, and reclaiming healthy, shame-free conversations about sex and mental health. Now, joining me today are students from diverse backgrounds to share their perspectives on mental health, sexual wellness, intimacy, and communication. I have Tanaya Townsend, who is a senior attending South Carolina State University, and she is majoring in nutrition management. I would like to thank you for joining me this evening, Tanaya.
You're welcome, of course.
Mm-hmm. All right. And thank you, Brody, for joining me again. You see Brody? Oh, my goodness.
Hey, Brody. What's up?
Yo, what's up, bro? What's up, man? All right. Well, thank you. And all my listeners and to my guests, welcome. And let's start by talking about why mental health and sexual wellness are rarely discussed together. Now, Tanaya, just to start off, why do you think mental health and sexual wellness are rarely talked about together?
I feel like why they rarely talk about together because I feel like one, not everybody's open enough to even discuss that part of the relationship, especially with sex, because to talk about intimacy and stuff, that's very sacred to a lot of people, and you don't share that with everybody. And then with mental health, I feel like they don't talk about that either, because I feel like you got people who really be secret squirrel, don't feel like tell everybody, or B, you got people that will just push it off or don't make it as big as an impact as if it was together. Or people don't understand the concept, how that could blend together.
Mm-hmm. Now, how can anxiety or stress impact intimacy even in loving relationships?
Anxiety can impact it because you can you loving somebody, and it could be anxiety because there's a new adjustment that is no longer about you. It's actually you and the partner. Everything's done together as one. And even you could be anxious of just like what you went through in the last relationship that make you feel nervous about the new one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then it can lead to like anxiety could lead to like other things within like you mentioned, depression, and then even like when they haven't really been with someone long enough, they'll forget how to really show up for their partner in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, to understand sexual wellness, we have to look beyond physical attraction and performance. Mental health can impact sexual wellness through anxiety and overthinking, depression and low libido, stress and emotional exhaustion, trauma responses and triggers, and then, of course, body image and self esteem issues, fear of vulnerability or rejection, and then finally, difficulty being present during intimacy. Sexual wellness isn't just about sex, it's about safety, comfort, trust, and emotional connection. Now, it's time for some myth busting time. Okay, let's debunk some common myths. One myth is that sex should always come naturally. Not true, actually. Sexual desire actually fluctuates with stress, mental health, and life changes. So, next, sex is not going to always come naturally. Sometimes there are some things that will keep that from kind of flowing as easily as it could if you weren't going through all those stresses. Myth number 2, lack of desire means lack of attraction. Wrong! Again, wrong. Libido can be impacted by depression, anxiety, medications, or fatigue, not your feelings. Myth number 3, mental health has nothing to do with sex. Whoa now. On the contrary, mental health can deeply influence sexual satisfaction and intimacy. Now, for one case study that I had to research, this case study follows Alex's story. Alex is 24, male. Notice that when he's stressed at work, he avoids intimacy even though he is deeply in love with his partner. Recognizing this as a mental health response rather than a lack of care, that allowed Alex and his partner to communicate and reconnect emotionally before intimacy. So that's your one example. Now, Tanaya, why is emotional safety just as important as physical attraction?
Of course, you always got to make sure you feel emotional safety. You always got to make sure you feel like safe within yourself and like surroundings in a relationship. Because if you don't have like the emotional safety, everything else can like gradually crumble apart. And physical wellness, I feel like it should go hand in hand because based on how you're feeling is what your actions will show. And then you have people that don't feel like as emotionally great. They will do like certain like physical appearances to do anything to get attention from like other people or like love instead of actually like don't feel like you gotta go the extra mile to please somebody.
Mm-hmm. Now, what myths around sex and mental health need to be unlearned?
I feel like definitely with sex being they saying sexuality does not involve mental health, which I agree with you there. It definitely does, because it could affect, like, if you have sexually driven people to the point that all they could think about is sex, but can't really think for themselves outside of sex. And you have people who crave for it to the point, you have like nymphos that are like borderline addicted to sex to the point that even when they can't have it with a partner, they would try to find the ways of pleasure themselves and can't go too long without having some type of sexual interaction. And I also, another thing I feel like that should really has to really stop hearing is like this, just because you're not attractive, that don't mean with the desire, because you could meet someone who don't even look that great at all, but they realize you have sexual desires. That's why you hear so many about one night stands, if that's really the case. And then you got people who lack sexual desires but can be attractive, and in that case that'll turn out to someone like that'll be more meant for people who is not into sex like that, like myself. You could be attractive but don't have the sexual desires. Someone's gonna be loved either way, either how, with or without sexual wellness, or it's either like either in those circumstances, someone's gonna get love some way, somehow. Someone's gonna be meant for somebody, with or without sex.
Mental health struggles don't disappear in the bedroom. They often become more noticeable there. Anxiety may show up as performance anxiety, difficulty relaxing, fear of judgment, or overanalyzing partner reactions. Depression can appear as low libido, emotional disconnection, feeling undeserving of pleasure, or loss of interest in intimacy. Trauma may trigger dissociation, fear, avoidance of sexual connection, or difficulty trusting a partner. Now, up for our next mini case study, we're going to be following Jamie's story. Jamie experiences trauma triggers during intimacy. By communicating boundaries and having emotional check-ins, Jamie and their partner have started building a safe, trusting sexual connection. Now, Tanaya, how can partners avoid taking changes in desire personally?
It's a great question, because I haven't been in no predicament like that before. I feel like if you just, before you even think about having like sex, like try to like not only how they establish with boundaries, but also really take the time to like really know each other with any other points of time, and do like little things at a time before you just do the grand finale of like sex. Because once you have intimacy connection with somebody, the bond is going to be different, and it's going to be harder to like lose that connection. And it's going to be and like to build it safe, and also they should like discuss with each other like what are like the safe codes they'll like to use,
right?
So they won't like violate one each other's boundary during like sex or intimacy.
Okay. What does healthy intimacy look like when mental health is involved?
Oh, I feel like when you involve mental health is good, and then intimacy is good. If those two are equally yoked, a lot of things go better. You would know you would know like when you want to have intimacy. You would know when you want your space. Both partners understand each other within non-sexual to sexual. What can satisfy them, like a verbal, like things that verbally done physically, and it also doesn't hurt once in a while to intentionally date each other again, even though you're already together. Still act like it's like a new date to know each other more. So it's like they take a balance of where they can still be together, still have intimacy, but don't overpower it. Keep it equal, and then have y'all mental health stay time, because it don't hurt to like, let's say you want to have your space, sometimes, and then sometimes you actually want to be together in intimacy. So I feel like a lot, if that going well, it has to be really top tier to like communicate with each other and understand each other a lot. So keep that. Sorry if I feel like I just said it so long about it, but
no, you good, you good.
I just be trying to get it like at least out there or something like that, and it just try to find a way hope it kind of will pitch together to make sense.
No, you good. For my listeners on the live, and then for my guest speaker, I want you guys to reflect on this one thing that I will say. Ask yourself, where do I feel safe in my intimate relationships? Where do I feel tension or anxiety? Think about those two things. Reflect on it. And then see what you come up with. What is the answer to those two questions? Are you safe in your intimate relationships? Or are you not? Do you feel tension or anxiety in these intimate relationships? Or no?
I would feel like anxiety or like tension when I first meet the person. So I'm still just trying to figure them out, trying to get to know them, and before I even want to be like intimate. But like once I feel like it's like in the beginning phase, I'll feel like guarded and stuff and observe and try to figure you out. But the moment like I kind of would, I would like get comfortable. Like I'll still keep the guard up, but I was somewhat like still feel I was still like I kind of won't be as guarded, but still keep guarded. But like once I feel like I will gradually feel safe with a person, and then like my anxiety will like go away. So it would be protective mode in the beginning, and then once I get to like comfortable with the person, it would like calm down. So it starts like intense, and then it just go down once I start getting comfortable.
Right. Okay. Healthy sexual wellness starts with communication and consent, especially when mental health is part of the picture. Now, before intimacy, try saying, I'm feeling anxious tonight. Can we focus on closeness rather, without the pressure? Or you can say, I'd like to pause. Can we check in before continuing? Now, the key components here in these two things you could say to your partner, it's open conversation. That's about comfort and boundaries. Checking in before, during, and after intimacy. Normalizing changing needs and desires. And respecting no without guilt or resentment. Emotional safety means feeling heard and respected, not fearing rejection, knowing your boundaries matter, and being able to pause or stop without explanation. Now, Tanaya, why is consent an ongoing conversation, not a one-time thing?
It's an ongoing thing. Consent is an ongoing thing because no matter how many times you talk about consent, you could tell it to somebody 50, 11 times, and they still gonna be not acknowledging consent. And I also feel like consent is always still forever going, even like with just this little things with consent, because that's just consent is like another way of with boundaries. The moment you do something without permission, that's basically doing it without consent. When you start having, we mentioned about consent, because you can't just do you can't just touch like the intimate part of the body without permission. You can't make a move. You can't like give a kiss to somebody without consent. You always have to ask and have the respect for not only you, but for the partner. Because when you show that you don't really show like consent or don't give consideration of like waiting, like you also gotta be willing enough to take no as an answer, because there's people out there that don't take no as an answer when you start things like this.
I think consent is an ongoing conversation and not a one-time thing, because your partner may not always want to have sex all the time. Or they may not want to do certain positions. They may not want to try out certain kinks or, certain, things. You know what I mean? Their mood can change. Their mood they may not, like I said, they may not want to have sex at all. One night they might be really tired. So consent can change. Consent is an ongoing conversation, because you always want to check in with your partner too. Like I read before, you want to check in before having sex, during sex, and after sex. You want to make sure that your partner is comfortable and okay throughout the entire process from beginning to end. So yeah, I believe that consent is an ongoing conversation.
And then you could be like, or the partner can be, let's say like the part they do it in midsection, they be like, oh, I don't want to do this no more. Yeah, I have to say that. You could, any mood can change at any given time frame of sex, and then like, or there could be like, how about we use props? Like you gotta text it if you want to use props. It's every little thing part of sex, even from the role play. You guys text it in certain things, because you can't just do everything and be like, oh, hope they like it. And now and then it's okay. Even if you're trying to like spice things up, you still gotta have to sit with that.
Right.
Spice.
How can partners create emotional safety around sex? I think checking in. Checking in occasionally or enough, I think, is good for creating that emotional safety.
I feel like checking in or / like being there for each other, even do like the little things that don't involve like sex, like non-sexual things, little things to check in, like show affirmations that you care for them. So you could also like, words do matter of checking in, but also little actions too. Little things really make a lot of things last longer in relationships. Pay attention to detail is major key.
Now, studies show couples who regularly discuss sexual preferences and emotional needs report higher satisfaction and intimacy. So, taking all those tips and advice, and make sure you check in with your partner regularly before, during, and after sex. Now, sexual wellness is a journey. Mental health support is part of that journey. Here are some mini exercises that you guys can try in your journey of sexual wellness. Journaling about desires and boundaries. Body positive affirmations like, my pleasure and comfort matter. Exploring intimacy beyond sex. Simple things like cuddling, massages. I know I like me some massages. Shared activities, like, you want to go ice skating? Like, simple things like that. It can be as simple as that, and that's enough to explore intimacy that doesn't have to do with sex, too. Now, professional support can help with healing from sexual trauma, managing anxiety or depression related to intimacy, improving sexual communication, and then finally, building confidence and body trust. Here is our third mini case study. Taylor sought therapy for performance anxiety. Over time, Taylor and their partner rebuilt trust and communication, discovering that pleasure and connection don't rely on constant sexual activity. Tanaya, why do people feel shame around seeking help for sexual or mental health?
I feel like people feel ashamed about it because first, no one doesn't really want to tell them about like how what they do sexually and stuff. That's a very sacred subject to even discuss to like, especially like a counselor, of counsel anybody, because you feel like not everyone needs to know what you do like intimately, and then it's like you get anxiety because like you still want to like do stuff sexually, but you don't really know how, or you really don't know how to improve or even feel like you could be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And like again, like I feel like because with sex, like I'm like that sometimes. Like I don't like tell everybody what I be doing sexually because I feel like not everyone needs to know it.
Yeah.
But what I do, and it would just feel awkward for people to discuss it towards others. Like people get very particular who they want to talk about sex with, what they do sexually, and even doing things like, hell, you got people that be feeling awkward as hell going to a sex store.
Yeah.
To even just doing the things. You got people be feeling awkward going to the sex store. I was like that one point.
Yeah. Or playing those like card games that are like have sexual questions in them with the friend group.
I can relate to that because it could be things like playing the sexual games, like when it's just you and the partner, you don't feel as like anxious because it's just you. It's just two of y'all.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start doing it with groups of people, and especially with like with people, groups of people, you vaguely talk about sex towards a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
You really talk about, because it's like, I feel like again, like that's like another boundary. Like you only discuss that like with your close friends, maybe a couple of your family members.
Mm-hmm.
But try talking to a professional, that's like, oh my God, I really gotta tell this therapist, like,
right,
my sex life, like this.
The details
that's
too.
Like, too detailed, like, because let's say a person like you discuss it and like you happen to be like, or like someone happen to be very like kinky, very like but a freak or nympho. You know how uncomfortable it is for a person like that that's like a borderline nympho, to discuss stuff like this. That's the house is old. The pipes be run. It's the neighborhood is like when you run like the water. You would hear like the pipes go, and it's cold outside, so it really be. So
okay. Mm-mm.
It's just because it's just so many perspectives within that scenario. Because you got people who are like who love sex as nymphos, but then when they want to talk about someone to like a professional or like, and then you got people that's undercover nymphos. They don't want to tell. They know they're nympho to themselves, but tell it to a group of people. They're like, hey, people gonna look at me different. People who done took that route to the good way, who got people who's confident about it, who's willing to tell the whole world and be an open book. And you got people who do it very recklessly, sexually, and be afraid to admit that they damn near go to the doctor to get checked like every other week. Right. So it's so many perspectives within, like, just telling people, like, it's just how that could go about. You got people that's confident, and then you got people who be like ashamed about it, especially if they know they love sex. It's especially world going on now these days. It's getting harder to even discuss sex. Like,
I never had a problem with talking about sex. Like, even with my friend group, like I had this one. I never feel shame about it. Like, I have this one card game that's literally like, it's like a date game. So you're supposed to play it with your partner, and it's like great bonding game, I would say, because it brings you and your partner closer. This other game, no. But like, I have done games before where like you ask like, have you or have you not done this? And it always is like sexual questions, and you do it with a friend group. And so, you gotta like, call people out, or they gotta like really like be honest. Like, okay, yeah, I did have sex in an elevator or something. And it's like questions like that. But I'm fine with playing games like that with my friends. Or walking into the sex stores and stuff. I'm just like, oh my god, wow. Everyone else is like, oh my god, I don't want to be in here. Like, I'm so awkward. I'm like, yo, why y'all being so... Because they're young. Most of my friends are younger than me, like, way younger. They're, like, sophomores. Some of them are freshmen. So, it's like, so I'm, like, a senior just, like, experiencing. They're just like, oh my god! I'm just like, y'all, it's not that big of a deal.
It takes some time to grow up. Like, especially you said a sophomore and freshman, a lot of them is probably like their first time really being out on their own.
Yeah, that's true.
First time really trying to find themselves. Yeah. So like stuff like that it's gonna be awkward for them, maybe for a good first 2 years, because they're like, I'm really doing this college thing. Right. I'm really out here just experiencing other things. That's like, I feel like when you go off on your own of any source, that's like, especially when it's your first time on your own, that's like the great time to still mess up, even finding yourself, even learning yourself more, how you are on your own. And especially with finding sexuality for like when you're young is a very impressionable phase. Very impressionable, because you see from society how with like porn and stuff and everything, how sex is supposed to be, and then you have like, you're just young, you're just trying to, and then you go into like other things like sex toys. You're like, oh, I don't know what else. Then you go, then you start seeing like people like being attraction, and then you talk, and then it's just so much going on, being like the impressionable early phase of being, you just time here. And then sexuality, I feel like that's like a very, like, it takes a long time to develop. Or sexually, because you gotta go through some bumps and screws. You gotta find out what you like, what you don't like, what things you like to use, what you don't like to use, and how you want the partner to do you. It's like a lot of components and a lot of it's like vulnerability. The fact that, especially with sex, like one of the biggest things people be hesitant about is willing to be vulnerable in that moment. Not everyone enough to be like vulnerable, like with sexually. And then you got 3 different types of sex. You got just one night stands, just casual sneaker link. I'm just trying to get it for the one time. Or you got people that just like friends with benefits, they do it in love when they just do it every now and then, a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got when you're locked in, like sexually, when this is the only person you really be having sex with, really, like you, and then like slash also like the making love phase, people will say, but it's like when you reach to it's like the other first two phases of sex, you basically just messing around, just trying to figure yourself out. You are sexually. But the moment you get that one person that you locked in with, where you know, like, okay, I could continue this with you. That's when you like know, like you really could know yourself more once you reach to the locked in phase of sex, because now you know you kind of figure out more what you like and you set on your ways. So I feel like stuff like that could go a long way with sex, especially when you're young. When you're young having sex, you just try to mess around, figure out. But when you get older, you like, okay, I still want it, but I gotta be there with somebody who wanna like me. You know? So like it takes some time, you know. That's like a sermon. Good Lord. It's like a sermon.
Right.
It's because me, I've been through like a decent amount of, I've seen so much within like, just even the military really taught me how to grow a lot. Like when I went at 18, like I have seen so many wild things could happen. And then, you know, and a lot of people in the military, like when you couldn't smoke weed, people was either drinking, getting drunk, or having sex.
That part.
And so I kind of learned a lot more with like how sexuality could be more within the military. It was just like, because I was just really within that time. That's when I really started having sex for real. It was like, God damn, I was trying to figure myself out and trying to figure out who I was, what I liked, what I didn't like, and it's just very like I kind of used that time really like an impressionable phase to really figure myself out from every angle as a woman, and I still figure myself out now, and I just don't be having sex too often because I just be making sure I'm good on track, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand, like for you to feel like you could have some like sexual desire in life, people be so focused on sex that you can't get yourself together. That you gotta get that one person fully within yourself who you are before you just go on stage. Oh, I just want to hunch with everybody.
Right.
Can you get yourself together first? But you can always hunch on somebody. You gotta get yourself together. You
Right.
gonna hunch on somebody.
Let's see. How can partners support healing without pressure?
Support healing without pressure. Like if you know it's a trigger within that person, know their triggers, because that's like another way where you can figure out what their triggers are. So you won't go by their triggers, but find a way to like, it's like you could help the partner overcome their triggers by like a lot of like validation is involved, confirmation, validation / confirmation, finding closure within those triggers. Sometimes you have to just feel like you're dating each other again, re-knowing each other again. And with triggers, like it's better explaining more actions by words instead of because you can't always just say words for like trust of healing with their triggers. Most times you have to go by actions, so they will see, not only that they will like see, but that's like their validation, knowing, okay, I can feel secure, I can feel like safe sexually. Maybe down the line, then that also gives that triggered person some thought processing to think about on how to, since they know like their partner is willing to heal, like help to like go to respect what they have triggered and work along with them. I feel it's like 50-50. You have to, if one person's willing to do it, the trigger person should be also willing to like somewhat gradually heal themselves to let go and have validation and have trust within the partner without being pressured to.
And I also think it'd be good to just like, let them know that you're there. And if they want to talk to you, they are more than welcome to. The door is open. You want to leave that open door policy. Like just like how a therapist does, or a teacher or professor could. Make sure they know that, the door is open for them to come to you and talk to you. And that won't really pressure them to talk to you. It just reminds them that they can, and they can do it in their own time. And then for the final question, what does sexual wellness mean beyond physical sex?
You said, what does sexual wellness
mean beyond physical sex? From my opinion, I would say getting tested regularly. Yes. Definitely. Getting tested regularly, especially if you guys are in an open relationship, or you may be FWBs, or you may be in a situationship where you're in a situationship. Even when you're in a relationship too, less likely so do you need to test a lot, but I would still say test maybe like every couple of months or so. But if you are in an open relationship, or you aren't in a relationship but you're like just exploring different people, please do get tested regularly. Even if you're using contraception with all these people, still get tested. It'll keep everybody safe, and it'll keep yourself safe too. So that's one thing I would say for sexual wellness that's beyond physical sex.
I definitely agree with getting tested frequently, because not a lot of people be doing it. I know a person who just be out here hunching, and she openly is proud that she be out here hunching, and was proud that she was going to the clinic at least every other time. They damn near frequently. That's very important. I know for me, I feel like as well, definitely tested. As well, because with me, like I vaguely be like having sex really, so it's. But then even for the people who don't be having sex frequently, still get tested too, because just because you haven't had sex in a long time now mean like you still got to make sure you are good, stuff like that. And also like with the hygiene, with the private areas, make sure those smell good, and you keep that down there too. For ladies, especially like go through periods, so please that. And then for the fellas to check y'all thing down there too. I feel like a lot of people don't really discuss like the hygiene, even like down the private areas. Like there are washes out there that will take care of the vagina, and then men, there's also things to take care for the penis area too as well. And I feel like hygiene is important. Getting tested is important. And also,
I thought of another one. Women. I know there's no women listening to the live right now, but for all my listeners, when you guys listen to this episode later on Spotify and everywhere else, please cleanse yourself down there on your poom poom. Okay? How you can do this, it will regulate your pH balance. Now, how you can do that? is by, and there's another one that just popped up in my head, but how you can regulate your pH balance down there. What you need to do is that you need to take a bath with apple cider vinegar. My mom has me do this. Take a bath, pour a cup of apple cider vinegar into the bath, and then I need you to sit in the bathtub for at least 25 to 30 minutes and let all of that apple cider vinegar just flow up in there and cleanse your entire system, and it will return your pH balance to normal. Do this every couple of months. For me, I do it every time I come home for break, so it's like every 4 months or so. And then the next thing I was going to say was, and don't douche. Do not douche. Okay, they recommend you do not douche. Douching and apple cider vinegar baths are not the same thing. So please, don't get them confused. But do not douche. And the definition for douching is rinsing the vagina or rectum with liquid, often for hygiene or freshness, but medical professionals generally discourage vaginal douching due to risks like infections like bacterial vaginosis, which is, just so you guys know, is not contagious. You cannot give that to your partner or any partners. It's just that your pH balance is knocked off and you just need to take antibiotics to return your vagina's pH balance to normal. So it's not bad. It can get worse if you don't take those the pills and stuff, the antibiotics. It can also cause yeast infections too. Pelvic inflammatory disease or PID, and then also pregnancy complications, as vaginas are self-cleaning. Let me look up. Is douching and apple cider vinegar.
Oh, also one thing too. A lot of people probably don't know this. Please don't be consistently trying to when you have sex with multiple people, it does mess up your pH balance, because it's a reason why when you want to have sex like that, like when you done mess around with that person, don't just go instantly switch to another person, because the pH balance you're gonna throw it off is gonna be all over the place. So highly suggest, like, if you not in a relationship but you still want to like you friends with benefits, or you just single, just try to have fun. If you are not messing around with somebody, please take a good break.
Mm-hmm.
Like some months or so before you just have sex again, because the moment you just go switch your body, switch, your vagina gonna be like, what the fuck, what you doing? You just had sex with this one person, and then you gonna have sex with another person. You can't just continuously switch. Like, it's gonna throw the balance off. A lot of people don't think like that,
Oh,
but actually,
yeah, that was another thing too.
Because your body gonna get used to messing with this one person, and then when you don't switch like that, your whole body gonna be.
Yes. And she makes a good point. It is true. Now, this will happen if you have sex, unsafe sex, without contraceptions with more than one person, because you're going to knock your inside pH balance off so bad. Because like, okay, we with this one dude. Hey, yo, who's this dude? Oh, and all of a sudden, and then, oh my God, and especially if you're letting them, inside of you, bro, your pH balance is fucked. It's fucked immediately. And you and I'm telling you right now, please. The next thing I was gonna say was pee after sex. Peeing after sex will flush your system. It'll clean it. It'll get rid of all the bacteria, all the nasties that aren't supposed to be in your poom poom. Pee after sex. This also goes for men as well. Men, please also pee after sex, because it cleanses your system from all the bacteria and whatever should not be inside of you, especially for women. And I just looked it up. So no, douching and apple cider vinegar baths are not the same. And while both involve adding ACV to the vaginal area, douching, which is internal washing of the vagina, with it is strongly discouraged by doctors as it disrupts natural pH and bacteria, while ACV baths, which is sitting in diluted ACV water, are also risky, potentially causing irritation and not proven to fix infections. So it's not proven, but I looked it up and it says apple cider vinegar baths or ACV baths might help balance skin pH and soothe some irritation due to their mild acidity and antimicrobial properties, benefiting conditions like I think eczema. Sorry, eczema. So apple cider vinegar baths are for exterior cleansing only. Do not get too much of that water inside, because it's just that can knock off your pH balance too. So, but it's supposed to cleanse your outside, and I mean that's good. So so there's that. But yeah, okay. Anything else you want to say about that, Tanaya, before we move on to concluding the episode?
I feel like after all that, I think we that this was very good. I think this was good enough, and people have better understanding with mental health and sexual wellness, and also with physical sexual wellness as well. So this is good. I'm good from here. I'm got nothing else to say.
Good. Well, you guys heard her. Today we explored how mental health and sexual wellness are deeply intertwined. From desire and intimacy to communication, consent, and emotional safety. Now, the key points that we went over today: mental health affects sexual desire and intimacy. Emotional safety is essential for pleasure and connection. Communication and consent are ongoing processes. Seeking support is an act of self-respect, not failure. And sexual wellness is about presence, not performance. Now think to yourselves, how can I prioritize both my mental health and sexual wellness in the new year? Think that to yourself. Answer that question in your head and then do it. Practice it in the new year. As we wrap up this episode and this year, I want to take a moment to speak from the heart. 2025 has been such a monumental year for Love Unfiltered. We celebrated the first anniversary of the podcast. We completed our very first season in the spring of this year. And this season, we dove deep into something that matters so much to all of us: mental health and relationships. Starting this season, my goal was to create a safe space to talk openly about anxiety, depression, boundaries, burnout, emotional labor, and sexual wellness. Things that often get ignored or stigmatized. Wow. The conversations, the questions, the stories, and the reflections from all of you have been incredible. We've grown, learned, and even healed together in ways I couldn't have imagined at the start of the year. I want you to take a deep breath with me. and sigh it all out. And acknowledge this with me. Whether you listened to one episode or every episode, whether you sent in a story, a question, or simply reflected on the topics on your own, you were part of this journey. Every step we've taken this year, every conversation we've shared, has been about showing up for ourselves and for each other with empathy, honesty, and love. Next week, we'll start off by exploring how to set boundaries without pushing love away. And while that's just one episode, it's also a continuation of this journey. Learning to honor our hearts, our needs, and our mental and emotional well-being while nurturing the connections that matter. Now, I'd love for all of you to keep sharing your stories. Share all of them. Share your reflections. Share your questions. Your experiences are the heartbeat of this show, and they help shape the conversations we have every single week. Now, if this season has impacted you in any way, consider subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing the podcast with someone who might benefit from it. You all know, and if you don't, you can follow my Instagram, the podcast Instagram, at loveunfiltered.podcast. Even one message or one share can help someone feel seen, supported, or understood. And that's exactly why I do this. As we close out this year and a season focused on mental health, I want to thank you for trusting me in this space. This podcast started as a small idea, a place for me to confide in all of you and to express myself about a time where I was struggling, a very dark time. This was my outlet, and I wanted it to be an outlet for other people. And now it's become a community of care, growth, and honest conversation. Remember, taking care of your mental health, your sexual wellness, and your heart, and your relationships isn't a luxury. It's essential. Here's to everything we accomplished together this year, and to stepping into the next year and next season with courage, intention, and love. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for being part of Love Unfiltered. I can't wait to see what we have to explore together in 2026. I'll see you all next time on Love Unfiltered. Bye! And Happy New Year!